Have you ever looked back on a decision and thought, what was I thinking? You planned it out. You weighed the options. You thought you were being smart. And yet, it went completely sideways. The truth is, we like to believe we're rational creatures. But psychology shows we're anything but. In this video, we'll explore 3 invisible traps your brain falls into when making decisions. These are not random. They are predictable. And once you see them, you'll start noticing them everywhere. In your job, your relationships, even what you buy at the grocery store. Let's get into it. Chapter 1: Confirmation Bias. Let's say you believe that eating late at night makes you gain weight. You Google, "Is eating after 8 p.m. bad for you?" Of course, you'll find articles that say yes. You read a few, nod your head, and move on. What you probably didn't do was search for, "Is eating after 8 p.m. actually harmless?" This is confirmation bias, your brain's tendency to seek out information that confirms what you already believe, and ignore or dismiss anything that challenges it. It's like hiring a lawyer, not a scientist. You're not searching for truth, you're building a case. In 1979, psychologist Charles Lord and colleagues ran a study. They gave people evidence for and against the death penalty. The result: people believed the evidence that supported their own view was strong, and the opposing evidence was weak. Same data, different beliefs. Think about what that means. 2 people can read the same study and walk away more convinced of opposite conclusions. And this doesn't just happen in politics or science, it happens in everyday life. Ever been in a relationship where you saw only what you wanted to see? Maybe the good parts, while ignoring the red flags? That's confirmation bias in action. So what can you do? 1 trick. Before you make a decision, ask yourself, what would I need to see to change my mind? It's uncomfortable, but it's how you train your brain to think like a scientist, not a lawyer. Chapter 2: The Framing Effect. Now let's talk about how words shape your choices, without you even realizing it. Imagine this. You see 2 labels on ground beef. One says 90% lean, the other says 10% fat. Which one would you choose? Most people go with the first one. It feels healthier, even though both are exactly the same. This is called the framing effect. Your brain reacts not just to the content, but to the way it's framed. In a famous 1981 study by Kahneman and Tversky, participants had to choose between 2 medical treatments. One was described as having a 90% survival rate. The other? A 10% mortality rate. Same numbers. But people overwhelmingly chose the first. Why? Because survival sounds hopeful. Mortality sounds dangerous. Marketers use this all the time. 95% sugar-free. Now with 20% more energy. It's designed to trigger emotions, not logic. But here's where it gets deeper. Politicians, news headlines, and even your friends frame things in ways that push you toward a certain opinion. When someone says, "We're spending too much on education," versus, "We're investing too little in our future," they're framing the same issue in 2 totally different lights. So, how do you defend yourself? When you hear a claim, flip it. If someone says, "This new product is 90% effective," ask, "Would I still buy it if I heard it's 10% ineffective?" The content doesn't change, but the illusion of choice does. Chapter 3: The Overconfidence Effect. Now this one is sneaky. Have you ever taken a quiz and thought, "Oh, I crushed that," only to get half of it wrong? Or predicted something at work with full confidence, and it completely flopped? That's the overconfidence effect. Our tendency to overestimate our abilities, knowledge, and control over outcomes. In a classic study, 93% of American drivers rated themselves as better than average. Statistically impossible, of course. And yet, we all do this in some form. We think we know more than we do. We trust our gut more than the facts. And when we make a decision, we often don't question it until it's too late. In finance, this leads to risky investments. In health, it means ignoring symptoms. In relationships, it's jumping in head first and seeing the red flags later. So what can you do? One word, calibrate. Instead of asking, am I sure I'm right? Ask, how sure am I really? Give it a number. 70%? 60%? This small act of doubt isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Great decision-makers aren't the most confident. They're the most curious. They say, I think I know, but I might be wrong. Let me check. And in that pause, they make better choices. Rewire your brain. So let's recap. If you want to make better decisions, remember these 3 traps. Confirmation bias. Your brain searches for comfort, not truth. Framing effect. The way something is said changes how you feel about it. Overconfidence. You think you know more than you actually do. But the good news? Awareness is power. Once you can spot these patterns, you start to pause. You ask better questions. You make smarter moves. You stop reacting and start choosing. And that is the beginning of real mental freedom. This is Idea Circuit. Ideas that rewire your brain. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And remember, every great decision starts with self-awareness. See you in the next video.